Hey everyone, All in Arrowhead here. The wildcard round delivered exactly what we hoped for to open the postseason. A slate full of momentum swings, unexpected momentum grabs, and matchups that immediately tested composure, depth, and adaptability. And with the field narrowed and the dust settled, we're officially in the divisional round. Houston set the tone early with a dominant performance against Pittsburgh, where their defense flipped turnovers directly into points and their offense balanced explosive plays with physical drives to take control. While New England methodically handled the Chargers by staying patient through 3 quarters before flipping the field with consistent pressure up front and making every possession count. Out in the NFC, the Rams and Panthers went toe-to-toe in a tightly contested battle that saw both offenses click and defenses bend without breaking until the final possession. And Chicago's veteran poise showed up in a comeback against Green Bay that tested both their offensive rhythm and defensive resilience in a rivalry game. San Francisco responded to a tougher finish to the regular season by grinding out just enough offense and key defensive stops to keep Philadelphia at bay. A reminder that sometimes playoff football is about control and situational execution just as much as it is about highlight plays. Buffalo leaned on efficient quarterback play and situational run balance to get past Jacksonville, showing the kind of football that wins in January, and with Seattle and Denver both earning first-round byes after stellar regular seasons, the divisional round now gives us a mix of rested top seeds and teams carrying real momentum from Week 18 victories. Wildcard weekend made it clear which teams can win in more than one way, which quarterbacks looked comfortable as the margin for error shrank, and which defenses could tilt a matchup when it mattered most. And all of that sets the stage for another weekend of higher stakes, harder tests, and the kind of football that defines seasons. Let's get into the games! Buffalo comes to this matchup off a 27-24 wildcard win against the Jaguars, in a game that was dramatic and hard-fought as any playoff opener this season, with Josh Allen putting the Bills on his back and making plays in every phase of the offense, completing 28 of 35 passes for 273 yards and a touchdown, while adding 33 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground as time dwindled late, and the Bills' ability to rally in the fourth quarter after a back-and-forth scoring affair, highlighted by multiple lead changes and 14 fourth-quarter points, showed both resilience and clutch execution under pressure. Buffalo's secondary came up with a pivotal interception off a tipped pass by Tre'Davious White that sealed the victory in the final minute, and receiver Khalil Shakir's 12 catches for 82 yards provided a steady target in the passing game, even as James Cook's rushing production was limited. Denver, by contrast, arrives as the number 1 seed with a first-round bye after a 19-3 Week 18 win over the Chargers, in which the Broncos' defense controlled nearly every phase of the game, holding Los Angeles to just 217 total yards, and generating a pick 6 from Jaquan McMillian that flipped field position, and anchor points for Denver, while the offense leaned on efficient but conservative drives that leaned on short completions and a steady ground attack to keep the scoreboard moving. The Broncos' Week 18 showing was less about gaudy numbers and more about game management and defensive dominance that gave them the top seed and home field advantage, and it gave their roster confidence that they can win without needing a breakout performance from any one star. This divisional round matchup therefore positions the Bills as a resilient, explosive offense with a knack for late-game execution against a Broncos squad built on steady defense and complementary scoring. And I'm picking the Broncos to use that defensive fortitude along with home field familiarity to edge out Buffalo in a close, strategic playoff battle and advance to the AFC Championship, as Denver's ability to control tempo and limit big plays should be the decisive factor in this matchup. San Francisco comes into this NFC divisional round matchup after a gritty 23-19 wildcard win over the Eagles, in which the 49ers offense did just enough to advance, as Brock Purdy finished with 262 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, while Christian McCaffrey was the centerpiece of the attack with 114 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdown catches. And San Francisco outgained Philadelphia 361 to 307 despite a longer time of possession edge for the Eagles, showing the 49ers' ability to move the chains both through the air and on creative plays, including contributions from Jawan Jennings, and hold off a veteran opponent in a hostile environment. The 49ers also overcame adversity, with injuries forcing depth players into action and adjustments becoming necessary, but the balanced offensive production and timely defensive stops gave them the momentum that carried them into this next round. Seattle, meanwhile, comes into this matchup off a 13-3 Week 18 win over San Francisco that not only clinched the NFC West and the number 1 seed, but revealed how dominant the Seahawks can be when they control both sides of the ball, as Sam Darnold completed 20 of 26 passes for 198 yards without turnovers. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet combined for over 170 rushing yards, with Charbonnet scoring a 27-yard touchdown. And Seattle's defense held the 49ers to just 173 total yards while limiting big plays and consistently winning the line of scrimmage, a performance that underlined why they earned the top seed in a first-round bye. This divisional round clash is a familiar NFC West rivalry between two teams that have traded results all season, with Seattle's Week 18 win and San Francisco's wildcard road victory setting up a third meeting, and I'm picking Seattle to continue its physical run-first identity and defensive suffocation in this matchup, using the lessons from that Week 18 performance to contain San Francisco's playmakers and host the NFC Championship, as the Seahawks' balanced attack and home field edge give them the slight but decisive advantage. Houston arrives here riding a 30-6 wildcard win over the Steelers that was absolutely defined by defensive dominance and opportunistic scoring, as the Texans held Pittsburgh to just 175 total yards and 6 points while forcing game-changing turnovers, with Sheldon Rankins returning a fumble 33 yards for a touchdown, and Caden Bullock taking an interception 50 yards to the house to put the game out of reach. And on offense, CJ Stroud completed 21 of 32 passes for 250 yards and a touchdown despite an uncharacteristically turnover-laden night. Christian Kirk was a force with 8 catches for 144 yards and a score, and Woody Marks paced the ground game with 112 rushing yards and a touchdown as Houston controlled the line of scrimmage and the clock. This performance was historic for the franchise, with not only Stroud spreading the ball effectively, but the defense flipping field position with explosive plays and suffocating Pittsburgh's attack on the first whistle, and it showed just how balanced Houston can be when both phases are clicking. New England, meanwhile, punched its ticket with a 16-3 wildcard win over the Chargers that was led by a smothering defensive effort and steady offensive execution, as Drake May completed 17 of 29 passes for 268 yards, a touchdown to Hunter Henry, and added 66 rushing yards. Ramondre Stevenson contributed both on the ground and through the air to keep drives alive, and the Patriots' pass rush, featuring multiple sacks from Kayvon Chaisson and Milton Williams, held Los Angeles to just 207 total yards while forcing quick punts throughout the night. Kicker Andy Borregales also pushed the scoreboard with 3 field goals to extend the lead early and give New England rhythm. This divisional clash pits Houston's turnover-creating defense-first identity and explosive playmakers against a Patriots unit that showed both offensive balance and defensive discipline in its wildcard performance, and I'm picking the Patriots to advance, as New England's ability to sustain drives, generate consistent pressure without gambling away possessions, and execute complementary football will give them the edge in what should be a strategic physical playoff battle. Los Angeles rolls into this NFC divisional matchup off a dramatic 34-31 wildcard win over the Panthers, a game that perfectly embodied the unpredictability of the postseason, as veteran quarterback Matthew Stafford finished 24 of 42 for 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, while leading a late 71-yard, 7-play game-winning drive capped by a clutch 19-yard touchdown pass to Colby Parkinson with under a minute left. and receiver Puka Nacua was a focal point throughout, with 10 receptions for 111 yards and 2 total touchdowns to keep the Rams in a back-and-forth battle. Los Angeles jumped out early and built a lead, but Carolina responded with balanced production. Bryce Young threw for 264 yards and a touchdown and also scored on the ground, and fought back strong before ultimately falling just short, underscoring both the Rams' ability to make big plays under pressure and the areas they'll want to tighten up defensively. Chicago, on the other side, also comes off a wild card performance, topping the Packers 31-27 in a game where the Bears overcame an 18-point deficit in the fourth quarter, the biggest comeback in franchise playoff history, and quarterback Caleb Williams showed poise beyond his years by throwing multiple fourth-quarter touchdown passes, including the go-ahead score to DJ Moore, while Chicago's defense clamped down late and helped fuel that rally, a performance that completed a season filled with late-game heroics. This matchup pits the Rams' veteran-led explosive passing attack and late-game resilience against a Bears team fueled by momentum and confidence from one of the most memorable comebacks in recent playoff memory, and I'm picking the Bears to keep that fire burning and edge the Rams in this divisional round clash, as Chicago's belief, big playability and clutch moments, and momentum from their wild rally give them just enough to win a tight, hard-fought game.